Triangle. This is Triangle. This is Triangle's house. This is Triangle in his house. And that is Triangle's door. One day Triangle walked out of his door and away from his house. He was going to play a sneaky trick on Square. He walked past small triangles, and medium triangles, and big triangles. He walked past shapes that weren't triangles anymore. They were shapes with no names. He walked until he got to a place where there were squares. Still thinking of a sneaky trick, he walked past big squares and medium squares and small squares, until he got to Square's house. Now, said Triangle, I will play my sneaky trick. Triangle walked up to Square's door and said, hiss, just like a snake. Square was afraid.
The next evening, Grandpa Joe went on with his story. You see, Charlie, he said, not so very long ago, there used to be thousands of people working in Mr. Willy Wonka's factory. Then, one day, all of a sudden, Mr. Wonka had to ask every single one of them to leave, to go home, never come back. But why? Asked Charlie. Because of spies. Spies? Yes. All the other chocolate makers, you see, had begun to grow jealous of the wonderful sweets that Mr. Wonka was making, and they started sending in spies to steal his secret recipes. The spies took jobs in the Wonka factory, pretending that they were ordinary workers, and while they were there, each one of them found exactly how a certain special thing was made. And did they go back to their own factories and tell? Asked Charlie. They must have, answered Grandpa Joe, because soon after that, Fickle Grupper's factory started making an ice cream that would never melt, even in the hottest sun.
I am Sam. I am Sam. Sam, I am. That sham I am, that sham I am. I do not like that sham I am. Do you like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, sham I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. Would you like them here or there? I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, sham I am. Would you like them in a house? Would you like them with a mouse? I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere.
Macbeth, Act 1, Scene 1. When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won. That will be in the set of the sun, where the place, upon the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. I come, grey Malkin, paddock calls, anon. Fair is foul, and foul is fair, hover through the fog and filthy air.
Plop was a baby barn owl. He lived with his mummy and daddy at the top of a tall tree. Plop was the same as every barn owl that had ever been, except for one thing. He was afraid of the dark. I don't want to be a night bird, Plop said to his mummy. Dark is nasty. You don't know that, she said. You'd better find out about the dark before you make up your mind. Look, there's a little boy down there. Go and ask him. Oh, cried the little boy as Plop landed with a somersault. Hello, said Plop. I've come to find out about the dark. Oh, said the boy. Dark is exciting, especially tonight. We're going to have fireworks. Does it have to be dark? Asked Plop. Of course, replied the boy. You can't see the fireworks unless it's dark. Look out for them later. Well, said Mrs. Barn Owl, when Plop arrived back at the nest. The little boy said dark is exciting, said Plop. I still do not like it at all.
My favourite food, the gruffalo said. You'll taste good on a slice of bread. Good, said the mouse. Don't call me good. I'm the scariest creature in this wood. Just walk behind me and you'll see everyone is afraid of me. All right, said the gruffalo, bursting with laughter. You go ahead and I'll follow after.
Once upon a time, there were 3 billy goats, gruff, 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 who said, "This grass isn't good enough. We need to look for pastures new, where the grass is sweet and delicious to chew." Off they trotted till they came to a river, where they saw across the water a meadow green with the sweetest grass they had ever seen. The goat longed to cross the bridge, but a wicked old troll lived underneath, with horrible claws and terrible teeth.
Open a book and you will find people and places of every kind. Open a book and you can be anything you want to be. Open a book and you can share wondrous words you find in there. Open a book and I will too. You read to me and I'll read to you.
I met a miniature king by the side of the road, wearing a crown and an ermine suit. Important, small, plump as a natterjack toad. "Kneel," he shrieked, "kneel for the king." "Certainly not," I said, "I'll do no such thing." I saw a giantess, tall as a tree. "You'll do for a doll," she bellowed, "just the toy for me. Into the box, scream hard, scream long." I stared at her mad pond eyes, then skipped away. Dream on. I bumped into an invisible boy, ouch, at the end of edge of a field. Give me a chocolate drop," said a voice. "What do you say?" said I. "Please." So I did. Then stared as it floated mid-air and melted away. These are 3 of the people I met yesterday.
Mr. Parker and the missing sock. One thing Mr. Parker always insists on when he reads his stories is silence. He can't stand the slightest noise, and the worst sound of all to Mr. Parker's ears is the sound of Mrs. Stubbs opening the classroom door. When Mr. Parker began to read the borrowers, he took a deep breath and closed his eyes. "Relax," he said, "let all be at peace, listening and thinking, thinking and listening, for which we must have absolute golden silence."
Slowly, Matilda sat down. Oh, the rottenness of it all. The unfairness. How dare they expel her for something she hadn't done? Matilda felt herself getting angrier and angrier and angrier. So unbearably angry that something was bound to explode inside her very soon. The newt was still squirming in the tall glass of water. It looked horribly uncomfortable. The glass was not big enough for it. Matilda glared at the Trunchbull. How she hated her. She glared at the glass, and she longed to march up and grab the glass and tip the contents, newt and all over the Trunchbull's head. She trembled to think what the Trunchbull would do to her if she did that. The Trunchbull was sitting behind the teacher's table, staring with a mixture of horror and fascination at the newt wriggling in the glass.
Mr. Magnolia. Mr. Magnolia has only 1 boot. He has an old trumpet that goes root-a-toot. And 2 lovely sisters who play on the flute. But Mr. Magnolia has only 1 boot. In his pond live a frog, a toad and a newt. He has green parakeets who pick holes in his suit, and some very fat owls who are learning to hoot. But Mr. Magnolia has only 1 boot. He gives rise to his friends when he goes for a scoot, and the splash is immense when he goes down the chute. But Mr. Magnolia has only 1 boot.
Once there was an elephant who tried to use the telephant. No, I mean the elephone. Who tried to use the telephone? Dear me, I am not certain quite that even now I've got it right. However it was, he got his trunk entangled in the telephone. The more he tried to get it free, the louder buzzed the telefree. I fear I better drop the song, or Ella hop, or telephone.
Chapter 1. The Boy Who Lived. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal, thank you very much. They were the last people you'd expect to be involved in anything strange or mysterious because they just didn't hold with such things. Mr. Dursley was the director of a firm called Grunnings, which made dolls. He was a big, beefy man with hardly any neck, although he did have a very large moustache. Mrs. Dursley was thin and blonde and had nearly twice the usual amount of neck, which came in very useful as she spent so much of her time staring over garden fences, spying on the neighbours. The Dursleys had a small son called Dudley, and in their opinion, there was no finer boy anywhere.
Ben hurries along one of the tunnels leading to the hangar where the pirate ship waits. Just before he reaches the hangar, Darth Vader steps into view at the end of the tunnel, not 10 feet away. Vader lights his saber. Ben also ignites his and steps slowly forward. I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. Ben Kenobi moves with elegant ease into a classical offensive position. The fearsome Dark Knight takes a defensive stance. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. Only a master of evil, Darth. The two galactic warriors stand perfectly still for a few moments, sizing each other up and waiting for the right moment. Ben seems to be under increasing pressure and strain, as if an invisible weight were being placed upon him. He shakes his head and, blinking, tries to clear his head. Ben makes a sudden lunge at the warrior, but is checked by a lightning movement of the Sith. A masterful stroke by Vader is blocked by the old Jedi. Another of the Jedi's blows is blocked, then countered. Ben moves around the Dark Lord and starts backing into the massive starship hangar. The two powerful warriors stand motionless for a few moments, with laser swords locked in midair, creating a low, buzzing sound.
Bernard the robot loved to play at the park. Whee! He swung high, 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 up into the sky. Soon it was time to go. Bernard jumped off the swing and headed home. He'd only walked a little way when... "My bottom!" cried Bernard. "It's disappeared! Where can it be?" Bernard went back to the park to look, but he couldn't see his bottom anywhere. "Excuse me, monkey," he said. "Have you seen my bottom?" Said the monkey. "I think I might have. Bird is using it. Come and see." "Hello, Bird," said Monkey. "Have you still got Bernard's bottom?" "Oops, Bernard, was that your bottom?" said Bird. "It was too heavy to be a nest. So I gave it to Bear to use his drum kit. Let's go and get it back."
Walking through the jungle, what do you see? जंगल में से गुजरते हुए तुम्हें क्या नजर आ रहा है? I think I see a lion chasing after me. Roar! मेरे ख्याल में मुझे एक शेर नजर आ रहा है मेरा पीछा करते हुए. Floating on the ocean, what do you see? समंदर पे बहते हुए तुम्हें क्या नजर आ रहा है? I think I see a whale chasing after me. मेरे ख्याल में मुझे एक whale मछली नजर आ रही है मेरा पीछा करते हुए. Climbing in the mountains, what do you see? पहाड़ों पर चढ़ते हुए तुम्हें क्या नजर आ रहा है? I think I see a wolf chasing after me. Howl! मेरे ख्याल में मुझे एक भेड़िया नजर आ रहा है मेरा पीछा करते हुए. Swimming in the river, what do you see?
Winnie the Pooh sat down at the foot of the tree, put his head between his paws, and he began to think. First of all, he said to himself, "That buzzing noise means something." You don't get a buzzing noise like that just buzzing and buzzing without it meaning something. If there's a buzzing noise, somebody's making a buzzing noise. And the only reason I can think of that you make a buzzing noise is if you're a bee. Then he thought some more and thought, the only reason you're a bee is to make honey. And as he stood up, he thought, and the only reason you make honey is for me to eat. And he began to climb the tree. He climbed and he climbed and he climbed, and as he climbed he sang a song that went something like this. Isn't it funny how a bear likes honey? Buzz, 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 I wonder why he does.
Mr. Stink stunk. He also stunk. And if it is correct English to say he stinked, then he stinked as well. He was the stinkiest stinker who ever lived. A stink is the worst type of smell. A stink is worse than a stench. And a stench is worse than a pong. And a pong is worse than a whiff. And a whiff can be enough to make your nose wriggle. It wasn't Mr. Stink's fault that he stank. He was a tramp after all. He didn't have a home, and so he never had the opportunity to have a proper wash like you and me. And after a while, the smell just got worse and worse and worse.